Jesse Holland with us. He's a distinguished scholar at the Library of Congress and a former race and ethnicity reporter for the Associated Press. Jesse, really appreciate you being with us. When you look at these numbers, is there any sort of an identifiable trend and why we've seen such an uptick in 2019?
Well, we've seen these numbers go up actually since 2008, since the election of Barack Obama as president of the United States. We've seen a rise in hate crimes in the U.S. since then, and it's only gone up more and more as we've moved toward 2020. There's no real reason that no one's been able to actually pinpoint on why, but the stark truth of it is the numbers are going up, and they're going up higher and higher every year.
So you look at synagogues, churches, mosques. No one was immune from attacks in 2019. So how can you identify what is driving this sort of hate that we're seeing?
Well, one of the things we can say for sure is that the number of hate crimes are going up when it comes to religion. The number of hate crimes are going up when it comes to sex. The number of hate crimes are going up when it comes to race. We're seeing increases all across the board. One of the things that we've been talking about in the media is the rise of, I guess basically what we see is people not hiding their hatred anymore. We've seen a big jump over the last 3 years of people doing more hate speech. And it seems like the hate speech is now moving to action. So we're seeing it all across the board, whether it's hatred against the LGBT community, whether it's hatred against different religions, or it's just hatred because of the color of their skin. We're seeing it all across the board in the United States, and we're still trying to figure out how to stop it.
How much of this can probably be attributed to social media at this point?
Well, one of the things that social media has done is that it's given everyone a voice. And the problem is some of those voices are preaching hate. And it's much easier to do it on social media where you can be anonymous. In the past, when you had something to say, you had to put your name or your face behind it. But people are now able to hide behind their computers and spew all kinds of hate. So we see a lot of that coming through social media. Several of the bigger companies like Facebook and Twitter have been asked to take action against the hate speech that can be found on their channels. People then argue these people have a First Amendment right to actually say whatever they want. So you're balancing safety against First Amendment rights, and no one's been able to find that good balance yet.
As an American, you always feel, I think, a little bit self-conscious because the rest of the world looks at the mass shootings that happen here in the United States and they shake their head and they say, why does this continue to happen? How much do how much does gun control play a component of this? I know actually in our correspondence report, there's also been some money earmarked for Congress to be able to deal with more research into this. What's the solution? And is this just isolated to the United States, or is this also on the rise in other places as well?
Well, one of the things that we can say for sure is that access to guns is easier in the United States. So if more people have guns, then you're going to have more people being involved in these type of attacks, simply because it's easier to get a weapon. So I think a lot of people will say we see a lot more of these type of actions in the United States simply because the weapons are easier for people to get, because you have a Second Amendment right to have a weapon in the United States. Now, is the solution gun control? Some people will say yes, some people will say no, because as we realized this week, some of the attacks were stabbings. So just getting rid of all guns wouldn't solve the problem. But I think a lot of lawmakers say if we make common sense controls on the number of weapons available, it could solve that problem. Second Amendment proponents say, hey, well, let's just make sure criminals don't have guns and not affect the law-abiding gun owners in the United States. These are the arguments that we've heard over and over for the last 2 decades while more and more of these shootings have happened. What we can say is that we hope that our lawmakers in the United States find some kind of solution soon to stop some of these killings.
Absolutely. Jesse Holland, great to have your reporting and expertise on hand with us. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.